Yes, guys, welcome back to the weekly roundup. We're on week 7 now
7.
with myself. Oh, 7. I can't believe it's actually been 7 weeks, bit mad. Obviously with myself and Crypto Insight UK.
Hi guys.
We need to sort an intro out, like a
Yeah, I know.
proper, everyone's got like a little intro. We should do it.
Yeah, guys, put in
We
the
should get one
comments
sorted.
if you want us to say something at the intro of the video.
Yeah, and intro slash outro. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
we
get one
need we need
sorted
an intro and outro.
because it's just a bit awkward at the start.
Or if anyone wants to make us one, make one.
Oh,
Bang it in the
yeah. If
comments
you want,
below.
you will give you a shout out.
Yep.
Crypto Insight on, give you a shout on his social medias. Get it sorted, guys. Get at us. That'd be
But
sick, to be fair.
it would be really cool.
But yeah, so we're gonna cover some news topics and obviously some XRP news topics, and then also maybe dive into the charts pretty quickly at the end just to cover it for you guys. Not much has really changed. Obviously, been trading sideways if you've been looking at the charts anyway. But we'll start off. The first three are kind of fairly linked. It's just basically three big names talking about crypto. The first one being PayPal.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, PayPal, we know thus far they're already quite crypto friendly anyway. They offer Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin on their app, don't they, anyway already. So it's no surprise that they're coming out and saying this. But it's just the VP says the company is looking to integrate all possible crypto services within the platform, and it's just another big company trying to get a piece of the pie. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've got to like any cross-border payments platform or any payments platform in general. They're like the independent ones like this are surely the ones who have got to innovate first, because as soon as the banks, like if they start rolling the crypto rails, they're basically going to put these out of business.
That's what I mean. Obviously PayPal are huge anyway, aren't they? The biggest, like one of the biggest. Is it the biggest actually payment?
Probably, I'd have thought
I don't
so.
know. Well, obviously they're up there anyway,
Or
regardless.
maybe like
So
Western Union. Maybe I don't know though. I'm just guessing.
yeah, I think honestly, I think PayPal will be a front runner anyway in
Hmm.
terms of like getting crypto into the PayPal app or whatever, however they want to bring it in. But I think these guys will be front runners. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're
yeah, for
coming out
sure.
and saying this. Pretty big news to be fair.
Yeah, so like what
No,
I
no,
was just saying is just like, because if banks like take away like this, the good thing about PayPal is it's secure and it's fast and you can do it
yeah,
like anywhere around the world. If banks come in and like overstep that, like as in if they start using, for example, Ripple's ODL, then there's not really a market for PayPal. So PayPal have got to be the first ones to do it, haven't they?
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, do you think PayPal could potentially get involved with the Ripple? Do you think that's a possibility? Can that even work?
I don't know, bro. Yeah, I'm sure they could just plug into the ODL rails. Like they'd probably have to sign some sort of deal with Ripple, because there's basically a similar thing to what Trangler are doing. So I
Yeah,
presume, yeah, because Trangler just use ODL. So I presume PayPal could just
that'd be huge, wouldn't it?
plug into it. So yeah, it'd be absolutely massive.
That'd be massive to do that. And I got again, I think with what's going on, I think that's not too far fetched. If I'm
Hmm.
honest with you.
No, I agree.
But just to link in with that, another big name, JP Morgan, because obviously this article kind of sums up both kind of statements that they come out. They're saying, first of all, they're saying that Bitcoin's fair price is
Hmm.
$38,000 at the moment, and they obviously predict, which is 28% from the current price, roughly give or take now.
Hmm.
And but what's interesting here is that they talk about crypto being an alternative investment opposed to real estate.
Yeah, they're preferred. I think it's like their preferred
Preferred, is it
alternative
preferred?
investment
Okay.
to real estate is what I think they said. So they're basically saying they prefer people
Yeah,
should prefer crypto than real estate right now.
that's that's a bit of a big thing to say, don't you think? Because like real estate in the past has been such a solid investment for people.
Mm.
It tends to obviously go up, but it's not really volatile. Obviously, there are crashes in the housing market, but it's a fairly like sound investment. So for them to say crypto is could potentially their new preferred alternative investment, I think that's pretty speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I think like especially for the generations above us, if you think about our parents' generations, it's always been real estate has been like the not necessarily the easiest, but just the go-to investment for people who have got like spare capital. Maybe they are noticing that a younger demographic of traders coming in, so it probably is an easier market to access. But also, like if you look at Michael Saylor and Raoul Powell talk to each other, they actually discussed this topic about a month ago. And although I don't really like Michael Saylor as he's, I think he's a Bitcoin maximalist, I like to listen to their views. And he was saying that why would you rather hold like a property than something like Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin appreciates faster than properties do year over year, and you don't have like all the like fees to keep it going. You don't have to pay your like local area taxes. You don't have to pay like reparations. You don't have to pay someone to get a tenant in. You don't have to sort a tenant out when something goes wrong. All you have to do is literally buy it, put it in a wallet, and let it mature. And like,
Yeah, I mean, it's more of less of a headache, isn't it? Really
mm,
investing in crypto, and obviously I know the volatility in price can get a bit stressful at times, but like just from I've never like purchased a house or got into the real estate industry yet, but from what I've heard,
mm,
and you hear it obviously all the time, there's a lot of time wasting, there's a lot of fees, a lot of this, a lot of that. So as much as you don't like him, and obviously I kind of have the same opinion, he is spot on with what he's saying, to be fair. And maybe
mm.
it is probably to do with the fact that the younger demographic are leaning more towards crypto than potentially like real estate or some sort of staple investment like real estate.
Yeah, so it could be like a double-edged sword for them. They could be saying like, look, like I can see the pros and cons of it, but then they're also maybe trying to play to the younger demographics. Obviously, we're going to be their next generation of investors, really. Like I know
Yeah,
that at the minute, like the boomers and our parents and stuff, they've got all the liquid capital, but at some point, like obviously the investing demographic will change to being more focused around our like ages and the generations below us, because that's just how human evolution works, isn't it? And when people come
yeah,
through. So if this is kind of like, don't know if the word like trendy or whatever with people our age as an investment, then surely big companies, especially like JP Morgan, who manage a lot of assets, and want to be like at the forefront of our minds. If they're saying things like that, we're going to be like, oh, okay, well maybe I'll trust them with my investments
yeah.
going
True,
forwards or whatever.
true. I don't think about it. But regardless, I think like for them to come out and say that is
Mm.
pretty big for them to say that, isn't it? Really,
It's a
because
big statement for
it is a big
sure.
statement. That's what I mean. Because like I said, real estate's been that staple for years, generations, like our
Mm.
parents' generation. So for them to say something like quite volatile at the moment, obviously crypto is. So for them to say that is potentially their preferred. It's quite a big thing to say.
Yeah, I
Uh,
find it a bit odd though, the timing. Sorry, just to interrupt you, because I do find
no,
that
but
odd, because like normally when we're at tops, you see things like this come out, and then when you're at like a bottom, you see them saying stuff to try and make you sell. But maybe like they filled their bags for it. Maybe they're ready. Maybe they're like, yeah, now we want to pump this up. Like, let's get this pumped
that's what
up.
I mean.
We've been filling our bags. We've got our trading platforms ready to launch. Let's get everyone hyped about this. Let's get everyone hyped about it. When we get up near a top again, we'll launch a trading platform, and everyone can trade through us because we've been telling you about how good it was since it was at 30K, whatever.
Yeah, so it could be a bit of like a not a publicity stunt, but a bit of like a social play on
Mm.
trying to get the younger people more aware of JP Morgan, trying to get them to use JP Morgan investment platforms opposed to others. So it could be, but regardless, I think it's quite a big statement and bullish in crypto in general. Another thing that's fairly bullish is that Kathy Wood's ARK and 21 Share take another shot at the spot Bitcoin spot ETF.
Mm.
So obviously they had obviously got one rejected earlier on, but they've gone for it again. But one thing I kind of wanted to say on this is we spoke about, I think it might have been in week three. I'm not too sure what week it was in, maybe week two, but because someone obviously there was a futures ETF approved under Axe
Oh yeah.
33 and 34. Remember how I was speaking
Mm.
about that? Because normally, I think, obviously, I'm guessing ARC, when they previously applied for it, could have been under Act 40. So I'll be interested to see if they've actually gone under the Acts 33 and 34.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of that, it still says here that ETF analysts do not believe the ETF will be launched in 2022. Basically saying,
That's
I
mad.
think further on in this article, they do say that they think it'll be coming in like mid 2023. But they also contradict themselves because they say that they're potentially waiting for a bit of regulation, but isn't the regulation supposed to be coming out later this year?
Yeah, like October sort of time. I find it a bit of a
Yeah,
weird one, because you've got like, who was it, Grayscale, saying that if the SEC don't approve an ETF, they're going to take them to court or whatever. So was this
yeah,
some of the deadlines for?
yeah. So they let's put that. This is another thing that kind of contradicts that statement. That was all because the foot here deadline for approval slash disapproval is 24th of January 2023, which is the latest. As you can see here,
Mm,
the other dates are there. So I'm not too sure if there's a how much like if they're right or not in terms of, obviously they're just analysts and I guess they're just speculating, but I don't know if I agree with it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I just think that like the one's going to come soon, and when you see people like Raoul Powell, for example, saying that he thinks one's coming in, like he said May, June, July. That's what he said. I don't think those people are like that far wrong because they are in all the backdoor meetings. They're at least with people who know what's going on. So I don't think they're that far away from it. And I also think that the SEC, like I don't know if we've been talking about it, but they are under a lot of pressure at the minute. They are under a lot of pressure from a lot of different people. So I think they've got a job on their hands, and we've got 44 countries like we talked about last week going to El Salvador to discuss using Bitcoin as legal tender. At some point soon, the SEC have got to be at least looking at getting exposure to like an asset like this for the institutions in their country, because otherwise they're going to miss out on a massive opportunity just because there's no regulation and basically because they don't want to approve a spot ETF for whatever reason they might cite. It's up to the companies whether they put their capital in there. The SEC needs to create a framework for that to happen, as does Congress in the US, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. They can only put it off for so long before they put themselves in a really like detrimental position in terms of like, obviously if crypto, not if slash when crypto becomes like the new head of like a new financial system that we're potentially merging into, like they can't fall too much further behind, if that makes sense, because they're just going to be shooting themselves in the foot. Because
the US money will just go offshore.
That's what I mean. We can already see that like potentially happening already. Like obviously we've got some stories coming in over here where we're seeing other countries being really active with working with different blockchain companies. Yeah, again, like we see week in, week out, SEC are just for some reason just kind of making them their enemies at the moment for whatever reason. Obviously they're waiting for regulation, and obviously they're not approving ETFs because there's not enough consumer investor protection. So they need to just get this framework out, in my opinion. As soon as that's out, I think that we're going to see an ETF like maybe not too far off what Raoul Powell said, to be fair. Maybe we do have to wait for the regulation framework to come out in the US for the SEC to kind of pull their finger out and actually approve either Grayscale or whoever they want to approve. But like you said, they are under massive pressure. I think Grayscale said that they're going to obviously file for another spot ETF, and if they don't, they're going to sue them.
Yeah.
So, and I think they put like the date. I think didn't they say July?
Yeah, that was July. Yeah. So
they've not really got much time to work with the SEC. So they're stuck a little bit. But
Gary's got his hands tied.
He does. He really does. He needs to sort it out because they're falling behind. It's not good news. It really isn't good news. Yeah, here it is. They said it would be launched in mid-2023. I don't really agree with that.
And I think actually I don't know if it was Grayscale, but another company just literally just had another spot ETF approved in Europe. It might have been Grayscale themselves actually.
Did they?
Yeah, so that's just like, so now they've got like Canada and Europe, and they're like a US based company, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know, it's just like there's something going on. They've got another motive, because how can Europe and Canada go out on a limb and approve ETFs whilst
and Australia obviously as well.
Yeah, whilst US are just kind of like and ahhing about it, kind of citing consumer protection. I don't know. It seems a bit of a farce to me. I think they're waiting for something. I'm not too sure, but I don't think it's too far away now. Every time we do this weekly roundup, there always seems to be like an ETF, whether it's spot or futures news coming out. So they are really pushing that narrative. So I can't see it being delayed too much further, if I'm being honest. But yeah, but like I said, this is another bit of news that kind of comes out at the top of a like cycle in the price, because wasn't it like the ETH ETF was like approved at the top of the last cycle?
Yeah, it was actually Bitcoin futures, like the first ever Bitcoin futures ETF. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is another bit of news that kind of comes out. So maybe it does. Maybe they're trying to say when these do come into play, maybe it will be the top by the time that comes in. So who knows?
Maybe it will. Maybe it will.
Who knows?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. We're moving on. Okay, it's loaded here. Moving into a bit of Ripple / XRP.
XRP again, news. This is the big stuff, guys. This is the big stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we obviously are big XRP holders here. I like Ripple a lot. Obviously, love XRP as a digital asset. Like the goat on screen there, Brad Garlinghouse. I know that Pav shares similar views with me, and it's been a mad few weeks for Ripple and XRP. Like, I feel like there is announcement after announcement after announcement in these last few weeks, and they get bigger and bigger, and it's just like, at some point, I think we're going to have an explosion. And like I tweeted earlier, it's like, I actually genuinely feel like the longer we're down here, the more likely the next rally we have in crypto is going to be based on utility and not just speculation. So I'll let you go take the lead, Pav. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, utility is going to show us the big blow off top, isn't it? Because that's what's going to really shift that price action, and then couple that with FOMO, people actually speculating as well. On top of that, it's just going to absolutely blow up, in my opinion. But I was just going to say, like, another story, another week, and another Brad Garlinghouse kind of promo week. Like, he's been really active recently,
Oh, so active,
and Ripple, and not just Brad, obviously other Ripple stuff as well. They've just been really active, and I'm just trying to figure out why they're doing it. And I think it just goes back to the point that we tried to make last week, and the fact that they're putting in the groundwork now. They're opening up all these corridors, they're making all these partnerships. Obviously, you can see here they're getting good relationships with different countries. They know what they're doing. It's clear to see, obviously, whether you like XRP or not, you can't argue with the fact, like I said last week, that they're doing bits regardless of the SEC and what their opinion is on XRP/Ripple.
Yeah,
Go on.
I was going to say, and Brad Garlinghouse is like a top, in my opinion, such a good CEO, bro. He doesn't put like a step wrong in interviews. He doesn't really overreach. He kind of dips his toe in there, gives you a little bit of insight, talks about who he's been talking to. This week he said that he's talked to like Christine Lagarde. Obviously, we saw him we haven't got these as tabbed, I don't think. We saw him with Jeremy Allaire from Circle, speaking to the Prime Minister or President of Bangladesh. Right here, obviously, he's speaking to the President of Georgia, the country Georgia. That's Monica Long as well. She's head of like the European like policy for Ripple. He's everywhere, man. CNBC we talked about. Been on CNBC I think twice this week. Obviously he's at Davos, which we're going to go on to in a second, which is where I think this might even have been there, but that's where the World Economic Forum is. I'm pretty sure he's either on the World Economic Forum or he is like on the board, or he's just one of the people mentioned by them. And in regards to that as well, another thing that people forget is like the Bank for International Settlement. He like helped the Bank for International Settlement write their white paper for CBDCs. He's a co-author of that. Like, he's everywhere at the minute, man. And like with big institutions, these like Christine Lagarde, head of the IMF, like these people are not small people. These people are making decisions that affect the whole world. Wow. And he's in meetings with them. Like, you can literally see him there, like with the president of Georgia, and they basically, after this interview, I don't know what it says there, they said like, oh, they would offer Ripple space in Georgia, like all this sort of stuff. So just things are happening. There's things have got to be happening behind closed doors, unless we're getting sold an absolute dream. But I just can't see it.
I don't think we are. Honestly, I really don't think we are. Like, again, I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Like, people who still hate on XRP and say, oh, it's just a shit coin or whatever they want to say, and it doesn't have any utility to it. Explain this. Like, what are they doing here? What do you think they're talking about in this meeting? Like, it's quite clear to me. Obviously, we can only speculate at this point, but like, it's clear to me the direction that what they're talking about here is. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't take a genius to work it out. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
They're not playing tiddlywinks, are they?
No, that's what I mean. They're not just coming for a chat. They're obviously going to be 100%. They'll be talking about Ripple and services that they offer. Whether they take it up is another question. Obviously, again, we're just speculating, but there's a very high probability that they are speaking about the ODL corridors and all this kind of business, because obviously that these are the decisions that the people that Brad is speaking to in this picture are making. Like you said as well, these people are in control of their country, and they're obviously their financial system. So
yeah, and like huge. A few other interesting observations from like this week is like, I did talk about it a little bit on my social media earlier, but he, as in Brad Garlinghouse, he's like seems to be buddying up with Jeremy Allaire from Circle, which is USDC, and obviously USDC have like $500 million of backing from BlackRock. I think BlackRock do assure all that their dollars are all like safe or whatever assets under management. Jeremy Allaire shouted out Brad, saying that they've done $3 trillion worth of transactions on USDC, but he wants to scale that to more scalable, and he literally said, oh, we can do that through companies like Brad's company, basically saying that being an ERC20 token on the Ethereum network isn't efficient enough to scale it up to a huge level. But if they use someone like Ripple and XRP on the XRP ledger, it'd be way more likely to be able to do that. I think it's strange timing how you're seeing that. And then you're seeing like, and Brad actually calls out Tether twice. And then we saw Citadel's CEO, Ken Griffin, today. He also called out Tether. They're all like cool. Like it's just, I feel like there's a load of weird like back end like relationships being formed. Alaire and Brad like being friendly. Brad like publicly calling out Tether, saying that all crypto companies need to be more transparent, like Ripple are, like USDC are. And then you got like the leader of a hedge fund or the CEO of a hedge fund, Ken Griffin from Citadel, coming out and saying, yeah, the same thing as Brad. They've obviously not rehearsed it, but it came out on like the same day. Literally, like they both said the same thing on the same day. Brad's at the World Economic Forum, and Ken Griffin was at like Bloomberg, something to do with Bloomberg, and it's just like this narrative is just being like shown to you, like straight to your face, and a lot of people just ignore it because they don't necessarily agree with like some of the morals of the people in the World Economic Forum, or like they don't like the banking system or whatever, and it's just like, rather than just having that like emotional layer on yourself, just think about it as like an investment opportunity. Like, are you going to be more likely to generate wealth betting against all the people with all the money, or do you want to just stack your money next to theirs? Yeah, okay, maybe you don't morally agree with it, take your profits out and do what you want for the rest of your life with your money, and then be a morally good person if that's what your issue is. For me, I'm not here saying whether they're right or wrong, good or bad. I'm just here saying these guys own all the money, making all the decisions, so I'm going to stack my pennies next to their pounds, and hopefully that pays off as like an investor speculator, because that's what I am in this market.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, it's all, when you're investing, it's all you're trying to make educated guesses, especially within crypto, because obviously there's a certain amount of utility to crypto as well. So like, if you're looking at all this information that's being put in your face, obviously they're not hiding anything. He's obviously, Brad's been very public about who he's speaking to, and like you said, you can kind of like tie all this together and see where this is going. But end of the day, it's just an educated guess. And for me, I've said it in the previous weeks, this, out of almost pretty much every crypto at the moment, in my opinion, is one of the best educated guesses you can take, because what they could potentially do to the world's financial system is beyond a lot of people's thoughts, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of people kind of are downplaying it. They don't actually know the scope of what Ripple can do with all these CBDCs, all these companies. It could absolutely blow up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I completely agree. I completely
agree.
And like, you got to remember also, Miguel Vias, 2018, he was an ex-Ripple employee. I can't remember his exact role, but in 2018, he said they were working with over 50 central banks. And we've had like, 2 announcements of 2 smaller countries, Palau and Bhutan. What is behind that curtain? And I don't think we find out everything, obviously, for a while, until all the steps are in place. But I think more will be revealed as the SEC case wraps up. And that's actually something that I did want to mention. I don't know if we talk about that or not. But we are waiting for Judge Torres's opinion now or decision on the Hinman emails. And it comes within I think it was within 2 weeks from a week ago. So we've got probably a week before we find out what Judge Torres's final opinion on the Hinman emails are. I think that's quite an important thing just to bring into this part of the conversation.
Yeah, no, that's obviously that could be a massive factor, obviously, within the SEC case. So you say it's her opinion, as in, is she going to make the decision whether those emails are relevant to the case, and therefore they'll have to show it?
Yeah, the last, because they were going back and forwards, Ripple and the SEC, about the SEC obviously kept changing, saying their opinion, it's not their opinion, all that sort of stuff. And then the last thing that the SEC said is that it's attorney-client privilege between the lawyer and Hinman, and then Matt Solomon from Ripple basically came back and said, if it is attorney-client privilege, the SEC can't claim that because it's not their client. Only William Hinman can claim that it's attorney-client privilege, and also that basically that if it is his personal opinion, why have 68 SEC members looked over it before he said it? Basically, they're the 2 things. So that's what we're waiting for Torres to come back and either reaffirm her decision that she's reaffirmed. This is the 4th time that we've actually seen this come to our attention in the case. So they were supposed to turn them over in August of last year, and then we've revisited this 4 times, but this is the last time that basically that they can appeal it. So we'll see. It could be like a week's time, we could be in like a massively better or worse place in this case for Ripple.
This is what I mean. Anything can change like that, really, can't it? Especially when there's a lawsuit going on. But I guess time will tell what happens with that. But just a little bit of fun to end the news part of this podcast.
I think this is kind of mad, bro. I actually do.
It is mad. It is mad. Obviously, I've not really like looked at the Riddlers for a while because they've kind of like not been posting as much, or they kind of downplayed it. But obviously, whether you know or not, there's this guy called the Bearable Guy. The Bearable Guy, is that his name? The
Bearable Guy, yeah.
And he posted this. I think it was on Christmas Eve of last year, obviously. And obviously, where we've been in Davos, they've had this backdrop in a Brad Garlinghouse interview, and it's very similar to the backdrop of the calendar that he posted on Christmas Eve. So a lot of people are like having a bit of fun and making a bit of comparisons with it, saying, "Oh, is this the start?" Again, we see in the background of this. I think there's 3 peaks in the mountains. I can't remember which one it is. There, and there. I think that's what they're referring to. And he also tweeted this picture a while ago. The 3 peaks.
So it begins.
Of 3 mountains. So it begins.
It's mad. I don't know, man. Like,
it's weird, isn't it? Like, it's almost as if they've planned that backdrop and kind of coordinated it with this, but surely they've not done that. And it's just, it makes me trip a bit because it's things like, how did people call that like 6 months ago that they were going to have this picture was going to suddenly turn up with 3 peaks? Like, it's just crazy. I know the date he had that. I think it was March 13th, wasn't it? He had that circled on the calendar right there. And nothing really happened on that day, which kind of made me like almost second guess like the Riddlers. Like, okay, they are just a load of rubbish. But then something like this comes and it's just like, oh, what do they know?
Yeah, I know. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It scares me a little bit, but I kind of like it.
It's a bit of fun. Like I said, I'm not saying there's any proof to it or anything like that. I'm just putting it out there, guys. I'm just putting the feels out there. But hey, so it begins. Let's see what happens.
So it begins. I mean, like, he is in the World Economic Forum and things are getting a bit mad right now. So let's see. Let's see. So what we got to wrap up then?
Wrap up again. We'll have a look at the charts. I know me and Crypto Insight, obviously we chat quite regularly. We spoke about the price action yesterday. Both kind of again in the same boat. Been quite volatile today, actually, the price action, but we're still in this range. It seems to be coiling up for a move. About the WP and how this indicator it gives you a bit of an indication in terms of when there's going to be a bit of a move in price. And as you can see here, when we've got down to this like 8 to 9% mark here, there's been, I think, what did I say here, 15 to 20%. Obviously, it varies here because I think there was one point where it didn't really move. I think it was this one where it didn't really move. So it's not 100% accurate. I'm not saying it's Bible and you should stick to it, but all I'm saying is I think the structure here, obviously, it's coiling up, and a lot of indicators are kind of pointing towards a move. Whether it's up or down, that's anyone's guess. There's a lot of narratives at the moment in terms of where the Bitcoin price action is going. Some people are saying straight from here it's going to go straight down. Some people are saying a relief rally up to like 33 to 38k, which again, that's kind of JP Morgan's fair value of Bitcoin, and then potentially find a lower low somewhere. Where that is, I don't know. But I think our opinions are still the same. The fact that the price that it is now, you just should be dollar cost averaging. In our opinion, again, it's not financial advice. These prices are ridiculous as well as they are. Whether if it does go down, it does go down, then I guess. But if at the same time it could shoot up because the sentiment's still really low. Everyone, I feel like literally, I think we're all speaking about it. I think 99% of people are calling for this, like sub 20k Bitcoin. So when have you ever been in a situation where everyone wins? You're never in that situation, are you? So it does kind of make you think where the price is going. So. And again, it's just
history has shown that when sentiments like this, it's been the best time to buy. Like historically, like I'm not saying this is the exact bottom, just like you're iterating here. It's like neither of us are saying this is the exact bottom, but just to give you an idea of how much I've deployed, like cash wise, and I've been wrong before, guys. And like you can look, like you're gonna look like this. One of my sayings is you're gonna look like an idiot until you look like a genius. Like if you look back on this in a year's time, and we have utility in the market, let's say, and you look back and you've got a 40 cent XRP, whether it went to 20 cent or not, if you didn't deploy in that price range, and even if it's at $2, a dollar, $3, $10, whatever, you're going to be like, I would do anything for a 40-cent XRP. And that's the whole point in like DCA. And now, like, over the last 2 weeks, I've DCA'd pretty much all my cash position now. I do have a little bit more cash coming, obviously, next month, and then I can reassess again. But I'm out of cash for this month. When we came down 4% today in XRP, and I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm cancelling my buy order. 4% today is looking nice. Whether we come down further or not, I don't know. I'll just hold through the downside. But I don't want to take the chance that we rally from here, and I don't have more exposure to the asset that I like. But especially at prices like this, where if you think about the difference in, like, from here, even if we go back to a dollar, it's like a 2.5 times or a 1.5x 150% increase for XRP. It's like, that's mad return. Mad.
What is it? It's crazy. Like that number is just nuts, isn't it? It's like, even if you do go down to, like, I don't know, say like 20, somewhere in the 20 cent mark, it doesn't make a difference, in my opinion, anyway, because I guess it might be different for us too, because we already have a bit of a position. So if you are a bit of a new trader and you kind of want to risk it, that's completely up to you. But 40 cent in terms of where XRP's potential is, where the all-time high is, and the fact that we didn't even reach that all-time high in this cycle that we're currently in, it's just, again, it's a no-brainer to me, in my opinion. Again, a lot of people disagree. That's fair enough. Everyone has their opinion. But
I'm in the same boat, and I think, like, it's easy to have the opposite opinion right now because all you can do is just point at price action. But if you come back in 6 months to a year, or even, we don't know when, it could literally reverse tomorrow. We could come back next week and be like, remember last week when we were just saying, oh, it was going to go lower to 20 cent and now it's at a dollar. That's what crypto's like, and that's why it's so hard to invest. So basically, exposure is always going to be decent in a volatile asset class. It's just how you deal with downside movements as well as upside.
Yeah.
And how many weeks of bread? Yeah,
it's crazy, man. It's crazy to see that. But, like, what I'm just going to point out is how things can change so quick. Just remember when we were back down here in January 2021. It took 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks to get how much did the price go up in 4 weeks? That's roughly about, let's just say 100%. 100% in a month. So, like, we could be sitting at the end of June. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just trying to explain the fact that things can change very quickly, whether it's a narrative shift or just straight up price action. It can change really quick. So, like, if you miss it, it's gone. That's the point we're trying to make out here.
And at this level, if we did the same sort of increase we did back in June, in January of 21, we'd be at all-time highs in a month.
Exactly.
100% takes us out to like 60,000. I think all-time high is 69k. And then for XRP, if you look at the XRP chart, if you go back to the same sort of time period for XRP, if you look at, like, even 2 weekly candles, like our biggest weekly candles there, like, what's that, 4 weeks, how much do we increase there? And if you go to the cycles before that as well, so let's just have a look at this.
So, like, if you take to the top, 300%
Yeah.
Take it back to this one.
This one's like 1,000%, I think, in like what?
1,000.
How many days? That's in 49 days, but it's not even accurate. So how many is that in days? Do you know? 1,300%. But if you can measure those days, so just have a look. But let's say 21 days. You're moving 1,300%. So 13x in 20 days, and that's not like to say this is going to happen right now. It's just saying that is possible. So don't cut your nose off to spite your face trying to get an exact bottom. No, actually, only one person in the world times the exact bottom. But that's just the important thing, and it does make a difference. Like, if you do buy in lower, of course it does, because your percentages will be bigger because you can ride that huge percentage. But it makes more of a difference to be buying in here than it does at like $1 or $2 or whatever. And if we do exceed all-time highs, we do start to go towards our Fibonacci extensions, like towards $10 to $13. A lot of people will be buying in past all-time highs, $3, still make 200%, but you'll be making like 30,000%, so, or 3,000% even.
Yeah, I mean, I just measured it here just to end off. Like, I think if you're buying at around this price and we go to all-time high, you're hitting 723% roughly. If you do think there's a potential bottom coming in around the low 20 cent mark to that price, yes, okay, fine, it's going to be 1,200%, but, like, you're not going to complain about a 700% increase in your investment, are you? Regardless, and you have the chance of missing that at this point.
Yeah, that's the key part, because then if you measured from like if you miss the bottom now and we retake, let's say, what's that level there where there's a lot of resistance in and around $1, 91 cent. Let's say you buy in a confirmation of a breakout to the upside, you buy at 95 cent, and then we go to all-time high. You make 200%. So it's like two extra investment, or you can 7x like if we go from here, or you can 12x if we go lower. And it's like, well, what would you? I'd rather take an average, so that's why I'm in at 7. That's why I'm in like right now.
All these big boys like Raoul Powell, I think he tweeted about it today, actually talking about dollar cost averaging. It's the best play in my opinion, especially within crypto, especially because where this can go in the future, we're talking about years down the line now, but it depends how long you want to keep your money in there for, I guess, obviously. But our point still stands clear. DCA is still, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, the best strategy to take, especially where the prices are now. That's the main conclusion of it.
Yep, and I'll leave it with that to finish off this week's weekly roundup, episode number 7, I think.
Brilliant. Good episode, to be fair. We'll be back again next week. Again, guys, let us know who can sort us out with an intro, because I think that will spice it up a bit for you guys.
And an outro. And like, let's see what changes between now and next week. There's been so much news this week. I'm actually really excited to see what's happening. These next few weeks in the markets are going to be super exciting, whichever way the markets go. I think that we could have an explosion one way or another. And I think that at some point, very soon, in my personal opinion, like I tweeted today, I think we're going to see some utility. And I think that that's because the world's economy is close to breaking point in some regions specifically. And whether someone's going to take a Hail Mary at some point and be like, look, let's have a go. Let's have a go with something because we're messed up
anyway. This ain't working.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
isn't working at the moment. So what have we got to lose? And I think that is the biggest thing that could happen. And I think you're going to see stuff like this happen, like these big green candles, maybe even bigger, because we're actually going to see full-on blown utility. So who knows? We've not really seen that yet. So, and
if that happens, I'm going to be dancing on next week's episode of the weekly roundup. I'll be
joining you.
I'll be up on my chair doing a little dance.
Yeah, but obviously we're not saying it's going to happen right now, but we're just trying to say, be mindful that stuff can change very quickly. So start building your positions up wisely, and
be disciplined.
If you're sitting there trying to find that bottom, it's a very, very risky play. If you do it and you're successful, then fair enough, fair play to you. But you could easily miss it. That's the main conclusion, I think, that we're trying to say.
Definitely. Right, and with that, thanks for your time, guys. Tune in to next week's episode. This has been week 7 of the weekly roundup with me and Pav.